My grandfather fought in a war at 19. At 19, I was asking my mom to make my lunch. My son, at 19, will probably be asking an AI to solve his problems. Something has been stolen from men. It happened so slowly that nobody noticed. But Plato saw this coming 2,400 years ago, and what he predicted is happening right now. Plato wrote about a cave, a group of men chained inside, watching shadows dance on a wall, thinking those shadows were reality, and that is exactly where modern men are right now. Chained, watching shadows, believing it's real life. The shadows tell you that being high value means money, nice cars, big muscles, and lots of women. But Plato would tell you that's not high value. That's just a shadow of it. Real high value is something completely different. Something deeper. Something most men will never understand because they never leave the cave. I'm going to show you how to break the chains. How to leave the cave. How to become what Plato called the Philosopher King. The highest form of man that exists. Let's be brutally honest. Most men today are not high value. They're high maintenance. They need constant validation, constant entertainment, constant comfort. They check their phones 300 times a day, desperate for likes and comments to tell them they matter. They can't sit alone for 10 minutes without reaching for a screen. They can't handle a single week of discomfort without breaking down. Plato would look at modern men and say, "These are not men. These are children in adult bodies." And he'd be right. Somewhere between our grandfather's generation and ours, we stopped training boys to become men. We started protecting them from everything, from pain, from failure, from hard truths. We created a world where everything is delivered to your door, where you never have to face rejection, where you can live your entire life without being truly tested. And this has created the weakest generation of men in human history. Plato warned us. He said that when a society becomes too comfortable, when its men stop being tested, it collapses from within. Not from an outside invasion, but from internal weakness. We're watching it happen in real time. Let me explain Plato's cave in modern terms. Imagine you're in a dark room. You've been there your whole life. In front of you is a wall, and on that wall, you see shadows moving. The shadows show you what success looks like. A fancy car, a big house, designer clothes, a perfect body. So you chase those shadows. You work 60 hours a week for the car, go into debt for the house, and spend hours at the gym taking selfies. You think you're winning? You think you're high value. But Plato would say you're still in the cave, still chained, still watching shadows. Because real high value has nothing to do with what you own. It has everything to do with who you are. The car breaks down. The house gets foreclosed. The body gets old, but who you are at your core, that's permanent. That's real. That's what Plato called the form of the good, the highest level of existence a man can reach. Most men never even try for it. They spend their entire lives chasing shadows, never realizing there's a world of real power, real strength, and real value. Just outside the cave, Plato said there are 3 types of souls in men. The lowest is the appetite of soul. This is the part that craves pleasure, comfort, and instant gratification. This is the man living for the weekend, drinking to forget his problems, and avoiding anything difficult. He's a slave to his desires. The middle level is the spirited soul. This is the part that wants victory, respect, and to dominate. This is the man who works out to look good, makes money to impress others, and seeks validation through conquest. Better, but still not high value, because he's still chained to what others think. The highest level is the rational soul. This part seeks truth, wisdom, and to become better for its own sake. This is the Philosopher King, the man who has broken free from the cave. He no longer needs external validation. He acts from principle, not from desire. This is true high value. So, here's what we're going to do. First, I'm going to show you the 3 chains that keep you trapped in the cave. Second, I'll teach you Plato's method for breaking those chains. The exact process he taught his students thousands of years ago. Third, I'll give you the daily practices that separate low-value men from high-value men, the specific actions that build real power. And finally, I'll show you what life looks like outside the cave. what happens when you become a truly high-value man. This isn't just about making more money or looking better. This is about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need any of that, because you know your own value. Plato called this self-knowledge, and he said it was the hardest thing a man could ever do, but also the only thing that truly matters. Most men will click away from this video. They'll go back to chasing shadows, back to the comfort of the cave. But if you're still here, you're different. You're ready for the truth. Let's begin. Have you ever felt trapped, like an invisible force is holding you back from being your true self? It's not just you. Over 2,000 years ago, the philosopher Plato described 3 powerful chains that imprisoned humanity. And what's wild is that these chains are more relevant today than ever before. Let's dive into what they are and how to break free. The first chain is the addiction to pleasure. Plato wasn't talking about enjoying a good meal or a beautiful sunset. He was warning against the relentless pursuit of fleeting highs. Think about it. We're constantly bombarded with temptations designed to give us a quick dopamine hit. Endless social media scrolling, binge-watching shows, fast food on every corner. Modern society has perfected the art of selling us instant gratification. But this constant chase for pleasure leaves us feeling empty, always needing the next fix, and never truly satisfied. It's a golden cage, shiny and alluring, but a cage nonetheless. The real joy in life comes from deeper, more meaningful experiences, not just the next easy thrill. The second chain is the desperate need for social validation. Plato saw how people crave approval from others, often sacrificing their own beliefs and desires to fit in. Sound familiar? Today, this is amplified 1,000 times over by social media. We post our highlight reels, counting likes and comments as a measure of ourselves. We curate a perfect online persona, terrified of showing our real, messy, human selves. This constant performance is exhausting. It disconnects us from our authentic identity and makes us puppets to the opinions of others. True freedom is found in self-acceptance, not in the applause of the crowd. It's about knowing your own value, independent of external validation. And that brings us to the third and final chain, the fear of judgment. This is the fear that holds us back from speaking our truth, from pursuing our passions, from taking risks. We're afraid of being laughed at, of being criticized, of failing. Plato knew this fear could paralyze people, keeping them in the dark, unwilling to step into the light of their own potential. Society often reinforces this. We're taught to follow the rules, to color inside the lines, to not rock the boat. But every great achievement in history, every work of art, every scientific breakthrough came from someone who dared to defy judgment. They chose courage over comfort. So, how do we break these chains? It starts with awareness. Recognize when you're mindlessly chasing pleasure, seeking validation, or shrinking from judgment. It's about making conscious choices. Instead of scrolling, call a friend. Instead of posting for likes, create something for yourself. Instead of staying silent, speak your mind respectfully. It's not about becoming a perfect, emotionless stoic. It's about reclaiming your power and living a life that is truly your own, not one dictated by algorithms, trends, or fear. Breaking free isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice of choosing authenticity over illusion. By understanding these ancient chains, we can start to loosen their grip on our modern lives and step into a more liberated, fulfilling existence. Thanks so much for watching. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that helps you think deeper and live better. See you in the next one. Plato didn't just identify the problem, he gave us the solution. For 40 years, he ran the academy in Athens, training men to break their chains, to leave the cave, to become high value. And the method he used is still the most powerful system ever created for male transformation. Let me show you exactly how it works. Remember the appetitive soul, the many-headed beast that craves pleasure. Plato said, you can't kill it, but you can train it. Like training a wild dog. You don't destroy its nature. You bring it under control. RS. How? First, you must practice what Plato called temperance. Self-control over your desires. Not once. Not when you feel motivated. Every single day. Start with your mornings. The moment you wake up, your appetitive soul wants comfort, wants to stay in bed, wants to check your phone. Don't give it what it wants. Get up immediately. Cold water on your face. No phone for the first hour. This is you telling the beast, I'm in control, not you. Next, look at your diet. Plato was very specific about this. He said men who stuff themselves with food are training themselves for slavery. Why? Because every time you eat for pleasure instead of fuel, you're teaching your soul that desires come first. So here's the practice. 1 day a week, fast completely. Nothing but water. Your appetite of soul will scream. It will beg. It will tell you that you need food, but you don't. Not for 1 day. This teaches you something critical. Your desires lie to you. They tell you that you need things you don't actually need. And once you see through that lie, the chain starts to weaken. Plato did this with his students. Regular fasting, cold baths, long periods of silence, not as punishment, as training the beast to obey reason instead of reason obeying the beast. Now, here's the part most men fail at. Your phone. Plato didn't have phones, but he understood the principle. He said that constant entertainment makes men weak. So here's your practice. 1 hour every day with zero input. No phone, no music, no videos, nothing. Just you and your thoughts. At first, this will be torture. Your brain will panic. It's addicted to stimulation. But push through. Sit with the discomfort. Let the beast rage. After 30 days of this, something changes. The chain weakens. You realize you don't need constant pleasure to be okay. You can exist without it. That's when you know you're breaking free from chain 1. The second chain is harder because it feels good to be validated. Your spirited soul wants recognition, wants respect, wants people to see your value. Plato said this desire isn't bad, but it becomes slavery when you need it. The high-value man wants respect, but doesn't need it. There's a massive difference. So here's how you break this chain. Start by doing something valuable that no one will ever know about. Clean your room, not to post about it. Just do it. Work out, not to take photos. Just do it. Study something difficult, not to add it to your resume. Just do it. Plato called this practicing virtue for its own sake. Not for reward. Not for recognition, just because it's right. This rewires your brain. You start getting satisfaction from the act itself, not from people's reactions to it. Next, practice being misunderstood without defending yourself. Someone criticizes you. Your spirited soul wants to fight back, wants to prove them wrong, wants them to see your value. Don't do it. Just let them think whatever they want. Let them be wrong about you. Plato said the Philosopher King doesn't argue with people in the cave. He just lives in the sunlight. Their opinions don't change reality. So why defend yourself? Here's a harder practice. Delete your social media for 30 days. Not deactivate, delete. Cut off the validation supply completely. No likes, no comments, no followers, no audience. Just you doing things because you choose to do them. This is terrifying for most men, because they realize how much of their identity is wrapped up in other people's opinions. But Plato would say that's exactly why you must do it. Your value cannot depend on an audience. It must come from within. The Philosopher King could be alone on an island and still know his worth, because his worth isn't given to him by others. It's inherent, built into his character. Last practice for chain 2. Make a decision that disappoints someone you care about. Not to be cruel, but to practice putting your principles above their approval. Maybe you stop going to family events that waste your time. Maybe you end a friendship that makes you weak. Maybe you quit a job that everyone thinks you should keep. The specifics don't matter. What matters is this. Can you choose your path, even when people you love think you're wrong? If you can't, you're still chained. Plato did this himself. His family wanted him to enter politics. Expected it. He refused. He chose philosophy instead. And that choice changed human history. The third chain is the deepest, the fear of standing outside the cave while everyone else stays inside. Plato knew this fear intimately. His teacher, Socrates, was killed for speaking truth. The crowd voted to execute him. Why? Because he questioned their beliefs. He made them uncomfortable. And Plato watched it happen, but it didn't stop him. He continued teaching, continued seeking truth, even knowing the risk. That's the level of courage required to break chain 3. So here's how you build that courage. First, speak one uncomfortable truth every day, out loud, to someone. Not to be controversial, but to practice saying what's real instead of what's comfortable. Your friend is making a stupid decision. Tell him. Your family is living in denial. Point it out. Your boss is wrong about something. Say it respectfully. Most men lie constantly, not big lies, small ones. They agree when they disagree. They smile when they're angry. They pretend everything is fine when it's not. Why? Fear of judgment, fear of conflict, fear of standing alone. Plato said, this makes you weak because you're letting fear control your words. The Philosopher Kings speaks truth. Always, even when it costs him. Second practice, do something publicly that goes against the crowd. Don't drink at the party. Don't laugh at the joke that's not funny. Don't pretend to care about things you don't care about. Be different. Visibly different. This is uncomfortable. Your brain will scream at you. It will say you're being judged, that you don't fit in. Good. That means you're leaving the cave. Plato said conformity is the enemy of wisdom. You cannot think clearly when you're worried about fitting in. Third practice, find one person who has left the cave. Someone living differently. Someone the crowd mocks or misunderstands. Study them. Learn from them. Even if everyone thinks you're crazy for respecting them. Plato did this with Socrates. Everyone thought Socrates was weird, annoying, dangerous. But Plato saw the truth. This strange man was the wisest person alive. And following him, learning from him, changed everything. So here's what you're doing. Breaking chain 1. Master pleasure through voluntary discomfort. Breaking chain 2. Kill need for approval by doing valuable things in private. Breaking chain 3. Stand in truth, even when the crowd turns against you. These aren't things you do once. These are daily practices for the rest of your life. Plato said becoming a philosopher king takes 20 years of training, 20 years of consistent practice. Most men will quit after 20 days. They'll say it's too hard, too extreme, too uncomfortable, and they'll go back to the cave, back to chasing shadows, back to being low value. But not you, because you understand something they don't. The chains feel comfortable. The cave feels safe. But comfortable and safe is not the same as valuable. Real value requires breaking free, even when it hurts. Even when you're alone. Even when everyone thinks you're wrong. In the final section, I'm going to show you what life looks like on the other side. What happens when you actually become high value? Well, the Philosopher King sees that prisoners never will. So you've broken the chains. You've left the cave. You've walked into the sunlight. Now what? What does life actually look like when you become high value? When you become what Plato called the Philosopher King? Let me show you what most men will never understand, because it's completely different from what they think high value means. Plato described the Philosopher King in detail, and what he described sounds nothing like modern success. The Philosopher King is not the richest man. He's not the most famous. He's not sleeping with the most women. He's the man who knows himself completely, who lives by principle, who cannot be moved by external circumstances. Let me tell you what this looks like in real life. Money. The Philosopher King has money, but money doesn't have him. He can lose every dollar tomorrow, and his sense of self doesn't change. Why? Because he knows money is just a tool, not his identity. The low-value man ties his worth to his bank account. When it's full, he feels valuable. When it's empty, he feels worthless. The Philosopher King sees through this illusion. He knows that his value exists independent of his resources. So he uses money. He doesn't worship it. Women, the Philosopher King attracts women naturally, not because he's trying to, but because he's become someone worth being around. He's not needy. He's not desperate. He doesn't need female validation to feel like a man. And that's exactly what makes him attractive. Plato said that most men chase women from a place of emptiness. They think a woman will complete them, will fix them, will make them whole. But the Philosopher King is already whole, so he doesn't chase. He simply exists, and women are drawn to that completeness. The low-value man counts how many women he's been with. The Philosopher King doesn't count because it doesn't matter. His value isn't determined by conquest, it's determined by character. Power. The Philosopher King has power, but not the kind most men think about. He's not trying to control others. He's mastered himself, and self-mastery is the only real power that exists. Plato said the man who can control his own desires is more powerful than the man who conquers a city. Why? Because the city can be lost, but self-control is permanent. Think about it. The man who can't control his anger is powerless. He's a slave to his emotions. The man who can't control his appetites is powerless. He's a slave to his cravings. But the man who stands firm regardless of circumstances, that's real power. That's what makes you high value. Here's what happens when you become high value. First, you'll notice that most people don't understand you anymore. They'll see you turn down opportunities that they would kill for, and they'll think you're crazy. You turn down a high-paying job because it conflicts with your principles. They can't comprehend it. You walk away from a relationship that looks perfect from the outside. They call you stupid. You choose difficulty over comfort. They say you're making it hard for no reason. Plato warned about this. He said the man who leaves the cave will seem strange to those still inside. Because you're operating from a different set of values, you're not chasing shadows anymore. You're living in reality. Second, you'll stop feeling the need to explain yourself. Low-value men constantly justify their choices. They need others to understand, to approve, to validate. The Philosopher King simply acts. He knows why he's doing what he's doing. That's enough. Plato said that wisdom speaks for itself. It doesn't need defense. When someone questions your choices, you won't feel defensive. You'll simply continue on your path. Their confusion is not your responsibility. Third, you'll experience something Plato called eudaimonia. It's usually translated as happiness, but it's deeper than that. It's the deep satisfaction that comes from living according to your nature, from being who you were meant to be, not the temporary pleasure of the appetitive soul, not the ego boost of the spirited soul, but the lasting peace of the rational soul. You'll wake up knowing you're exactly where you should be, doing exactly what you should do, being exactly who you should be. Most men never experience this. They chase happiness their entire lives and never find it. Why? Because they're looking for it in shadows, in external things. But Plato said happiness is internal. It comes from alignment, from living with integrity, from being whole. Fourth, you'll stop fearing death. Plato said that philosophy is practice for dying. That sounds dark, but here's what he meant. When you know yourself completely, when you've lived according to truth, death loses its power over you, because you know that who you really are is not your body, not your possessions, not your reputation. You are your character, your principles, your soul. And that part of you is eternal. The low-value man fears death because he's never truly lived. He's been chasing shadows, and he knows it. But the Philosopher King has lived, really lived. So death is just the next transition. Not something to fear, just something to accept when it comes. But let me be completely honest about something. This path is lonely. Plato didn't hide this fact. He was clear about it. The Philosopher King walks alone most of the time. Why? Because most people can't handle this level of truth, this level of honesty, this level of self-examination. They want comfortable lies. You're offering uncomfortable truth. They want to stay in the cave. You've left it. They want to chase shadows. You've seen reality. So yes, you'll lose friends. You'll disappoint family members. You'll be misunderstood by almost everyone. Plato himself experienced this. It was mocked, criticized, misunderstood. But he also said something powerful. He said that one day in the sunlight is worth a lifetime in the cave. And he was right. Because here's what you gain. You gain freedom. Real freedom. Not the fake freedom of doing whatever you want, but the true freedom of being in control of yourself. You gain peace. Deep peace. Not dependent on circumstances, but rooted in character. You gain strength, not physical strength, but the kind of strength that lets you stand when everyone else falls. You gain purpose, not the shallow purpose of making money or impressing people, but real purpose, the purpose of becoming who you were meant to be. Plato said that the unexamined life is not worth living. Most men never examine their lives. They just drift, react, survive. But the Philosopher King examines everything, questions everything, lives deliberately, and that makes all the difference. So here's where we are. You know the 3 chains that hold you prisoner. You know how to break them. You know what life looks like on the other side. Now, you have to make a choice. Plato said this choice is the only choice that matters. Everything else is just details. Do you stay in the cave, or do you leave? Do you keep chasing shadows, or do you seek reality? Do you remain low value, or do you become high value? Most men won't choose. They'll sit on the fence. They LL say, I LL star. Tomorrow, I LL do it when conditions are right. But Plato would tell you there is no perfect time. There's only now. The chains don't break themselves. You have to break them. Actively. Deliberately. Daily. Starting today. Here's your challenge. Pick one chain, just one, and start breaking it this week. Chain 1. Fast for 24 hours. No food. Just water. Train the beast. Chain 2. Delete your social media apps for 7 days. Cut the validation supply. Chain 3. Speak one uncomfortable truth out loud today. Practice standing alone, just one. That's all I'm asking. Because Plato said that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Most men never take that step. They watch videos like this. They feel inspired for 10 minutes. Then they go back to their normal life. But you're different. You've watched this far. You're still here. That means something. So, take the step. Break one chain. Prove to yourself that you can do it. And once you've broken one, break the next, and the next, until you're standing outside the cave, in the sunlight, free. That's when you'll know your high value. Not because someone told you, but because you feel it in your bones. Plato died 2,300 years ago, but his wisdom is still here. Still true. Still powerful. The cave is still here. The shadows are still here. The chains are still here. But so is the path out. The question is, will you take it? Drop a comment below. Tell me which chain you're breaking first. Hold yourself accountable. Subscribe to this channel for more truth than nobody else will tell you. And remember what Plato said. The price good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. The world needs high-value men, real men. Philosopher Kings. Be one of them. I'll see you in the next one.